Hey, friends, welcome in. Glad that you are joining us for another edition of Beyond Hiawatha. The miracle lives on. And we have really enjoyed bringing these podcasts to you as we look back, sometimes a long ways, sometimes just a short ways, in bringing you some of the memories and some of the difference making people and occurrences that have happened at a place called Hiawatha Youth Camp. And so we appreciate your feedback. That's been awesome. My name is Billy Walker, and I am your host, Billy Walker Jr., in case you're wondering. But I'm your host for this one, and I am really excited because we are joined by a couple of people that actually they're on both ends of the spectrum. We've got one, and if you want to talk about somebody who really makes the engine of Hiawatha run, well, that is going to be Tamra Hall, and we're going to speak to her. But also joining Tamra is her son, Jacob Hall, and Jacob has grown up at Hiawatha, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about that. But he also now finds himself serving at Hiawatha currently. And so we're going to get a little bit of everything in here, some from a few years back and some from very recently. But I'm excited to have you. And Tamra and Jacob, thank you for joining with us.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome to have you. So one of the things that I've been asking when we get started is just for people to kind of reflect for a minute on what was the first memory of Hiawatha. And so I want to let you prepare for that. But before I do that, actually, Tamra, you started working for Hiawatha Youth Camp, actually the Billy Walker Evangelistic Association. And that was in what year?
1996.
1996. So it has been a minute since you have started in that. You know what? Actually, I think it would be good for you to share just a little bit of that story, even as to how that happened, because that was pretty out of the box the way it all came about.
It really was. I was in a Bill Knapp's after church one Sunday.
Well, that dates you right there.
Exactly. Uh, I had gone at that time I was with some friends and my pastor and his wife, and we were sitting at one table, and uh Billy Walker and Sharon, and I can't remember who all was at the table, but we
Yeah,
got
I was
in
not there.
we
We
got
were not there.
introduced.
Yep.
And somehow, some way it came up that Billy was looking for somebody to work in the office. And I had mentioned that, that was something that I would like to do. And Sharon kicked Billy so hard underneath the table that everybody stared over at that. And that was the first introduction that I had to him.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks later, I started working for Billy and started working at the church. And
Yep. And there you have been ever since. So we are moving in here on we're not too far away from 30 years.
next year.
Yeah, that is unreal. Unreal. So you start working, which, had to be unique in and of itself, since basically what you had in common at that point in time was you loved Jesus and you liked Bill Naps. And you didn't know anything about Hiawatha Youth Camp.
Not a thing.
And so you step into that, and for the first couple seasons, 2, 3 seasons, you remained in the Southgate office.
Yes, for the first 3 summers, I did stay home. I would see Billy out the door, and I would take care of things at the home office in the church and talk with him each and every day. And he would go off to camp, and
Yeah.
I would hear the stories when everybody came home, but never got to experience it until 2000 was the first year that I went there.
Okay, so 3 seasons in, you make your way north. And what uh and I probably should remember this myself, but what kind of led to that decision that, you know what, I think it's best for me to be up there.
There started to be so many more responsibilities that I had that it could no longer just be done from Southgate.
Yeah.
So it was time to be involved in the office up there and seeing how things ran. And
Yeah.
your dad just had so many different things going on that it wasn't feasible to try and do it long distance any longer.
Yeah. Because well, for one thing, you were placing orders and all of that kind of stuff. And the material that you were ordering was getting to Hiawatha, but the person who ordered it wasn't there. So yeah, so you're heading up there. So now it's the year 2000, and you make your way up there for the first time. Never been on the grounds of Hiawatha, and at that point in time, we're at Pyatt, about an hour north of the Mackinac Bridge. Um, had you been to the Upper Peninsula before
I've
that time?
never been up there.
Okay, and may I just say, for those of you who don't know Tamra as well, I know some of you know her very well, but she has Upper Peninsula swag and Upper Peninsula bumper stickers, and so she fell in love with the UP. There's no doubt about that. But first time there was heading to Hiawatha in the year 2000.
Correct.
So then you drive onto the grounds after, I don't know how you even made it there before GPS. It was not the easiest place to get to.
And I
And
did get lost on the way one time. I
I
did
believe it.
I did miss my turn off that I was supposed to take, but
Yep.
yes.
So you get there. What's your first memory, first reaction as you pull onto those grounds?
Well, the thing that comes to my mind is I got there and there was nobody. Like
Nobody on.
the grounds were just deserted and I could hear music playing. So I followed the best of my ability. I followed where the music was coming from and
Yeah.
parked my car and walked down some stairs and got to a door. And then I was afraid to open the door because the music was coming from the other side of those doors and I didn't want to interrupt anything
Yep.
because I had no idea what the building layout was. So I
Right.
just literally sat on the steps until people started coming back out. And then I went in and then I saw that I could have gone in, but
Very long hallway. But yeah, we've had a few complaints about that at times, about the music was loud enough that you didn't need to be in the auditorium to hear it. But okay, so well, let me jump to Jacob here because Jacob, you um, not long after a few years, you are born and you make your way to Hiawatha as an infant. So you're growing up there. You're not going to remember that, of course. But
No.
what's one of the first memories that you have of actually being on the grounds there?
Well, since I was so young, obviously I've been going there my entire life, so a lot of my memories kind of run together. But one of the earliest ones I have is the music, just
Okay.
playing over the sound system.
Yep.
Just waking up, it rained all last night, so you have that smell, you're in the middle of the woods, the music's playing, and you're just surrounded by a bunch of trees. It's just kind of
Especially,
like,
especially the first little while you were there. You guys were up in
yeah,
the cabin or something, right?
yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
And so I wake up and I'm out there,
Shall
the
we?
deck is slippery, you misstep, you're slipping and sliding over that wood. And to me, it was just normal. So that was my life. And it was summertime and I was ready to go.
Yeah.
And then the memories of being after the evening service, the music's playing again and everyone's heading back to their cabins. And there's just a really somber tone across the entire grounds as you're hearing the music play again. And you're
Uh,
just
yeah.
surrounded again by trees and just wilderness. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's that's one way to look at it. I'm sure there are other kids who were like,
Oh,
this
I'm
is the
sure. Yeah.
scariest thing that I've ever experienced. But for you, and I think part of it was because you were there since you were a baby, this is
Yeah.
normal. This is my summer, man.
Hmm.
And so you're working for Hiawatha. You're up there for a few years, and then you fell in love, and married Rob. And so now, going up there just free and easy and single, not that big a deal. But now you're married. And so I'm sure that there was a little bit of discussion that had to happen. Was that a pre-marriage discussion or was that a post-marriage discussion that happened?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay, sure, sure.
But yeah, it was something that we did discuss going into it because I said, this is me, this is what I do. So
Yeah.
like it.
So you were already, even at that point in time, it was like,
Yeah, it was
this
in
is
my
part of
blood
who
from
I
the
am.
beginning.
Yeah, 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 that's cool. So then, excuse me. So then the year after the year that Jacob's born, again, I mean, I think that sometimes people just take for granted, well, yeah, that's what we do. But you had to be thinking that through a little bit too. It's like, all right, now I'm gonna head up there, but I've got this little baby, and this is gonna change, the dynamic. I mean, was there any thought at all to, I think maybe this year I'll just stay in Southgate and try to run things?
Not at all.
No.
My thoughts were okay. So I have Jessica in tow, who was
Yeah.
5, and then I
Yeah.
have Jacob, and just how am I going to make this work in a little tiny connected cabin? And
Yeah.
it all ended up working out.
Yeah. 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 Actually, I think you took over the connected cabin that we were in.
Not at first.
No, at first you were
At
in
first,
just a normal one.
yeah, I was in cabin 21,
Okay.
and then it was a couple years later
That we
that I got
shifted
to move into the bigger cabin and have a little bit more
a
room.
little bit more space. Yeah. Not the greatest bathrooms in the world in those connected cabins, though, kind of like a decent garage, decent grocery store or gas station bathroom was what you had. But yeah, that becomes home then for the summer. And so again, you've been doing it ever since, and we have been the beneficiaries of that. That is for sure. All right, keeping it informal here just for a little bit, and Jacob, I'm going to come back to you, but you've been there since you were a baby. And so you've experienced a lot of camp food. A lot of times, people think camp food, it kind of related to the cafeteria food at school. But
Yeah.
truthfully, we've had some pretty good meals at Hiawatha
Yep.
Youth Camp. So give me one that you remember. And the menu would a lot of times, especially under Mrs. Hopper, you could kind of get, you could know this is when we're going to have this and this is when we're going to have this. So, what was one you looked forward to?
Well, I would be doing everyone a disservice if I didn't mention Poppy's Donuts. I mean,
So,
you can't,
Thursday morning.
yep, you can't miss those. I mean, Thursday mornings, everyone knows you've been to camp one time, there's going to be homemade donuts, and boy,
Yeah.
are they the best donuts you've ever had. But,
Yeah. No doubt.
but, other than that, I know I'm probably a little odd on this one, but also the pot roast on Sundays. I
Okay.
mean,
No, that's not odd.
just, I don't, I think it was more about the fellowship and everything of having everyone from around the lake come around and you had the staff and you were just having a great time. But
Yeah. Well, and
I
the
don't
other
know,
thing
there was
is,
something about it.
if you were in church in the service, you could smell that
You
coming
could.
from the kitchen, and sometimes you could even
Hmm.
hear Mr. Hopper cutting the meat. Uh,
Yep.
and they'd be getting stuff ready, and man, by the time the invitation came, you could smell dinner.
Yep.
And it was like, all right, time to go. So yeah, no,
Time
I
to
think
go.
that's one that other people would mention for sure. Tamra, you got a few more years under your belt, but and I know that he probably stole your thunder a little bit with the donuts.
Well, he stole both of my answers, really. If I had to answer different from him, then I would have to say then it would be the staff farewell dinner, the steak dinner that we would have at the end.
Oh yeah,
That was always something fun to look forward to because it was
sure.
just one of those things that I got to help prepare even way back when. I got to help be a part of that
Yeah.
and do all that. So that was pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because I mean part of the appeal, and I don't even understand this, but it's like every Monday you'd get done playing softball, you'd come down, you knew you were going to have hot dogs and chili. Even if it was 80 degrees, you were going to have chili. And man, you'd put some chili on that hot dog and I don't know why, it just tasted so stinking good. And peanut butter and jelly sandwiches have never been better. I never drank as much milk at home as I drank during a summer at Hiawatha. So it's just, yeah, all those interesting
Yep.
things. Tuesday morning, I think, was French toast a lot of the time. And so if I was going to go to breakfast, it was usually going to be that one. But yeah, those meals, even just being a bit regimented, you wound up looking forward to some of that. Um, so let me shift here just a little bit. And Jacob, I'm going to go to you on this one. But when it comes to maybe a message, a sermon, or even a speaker that
Mm.
you've heard down through the years, give me one or two that stand out.
Well, I have to shout out Miss Pam
Okay.
because she's
Sure.
just the best. And whenever you think of someone that was able to get kids, little kids, like elementary school kids, excited about learning about Jesus or just memorizing scripture, it was her. I
Sure.
mean, I can rattle off so many verses because of a little song and dance that was well over 10 years ago now, and they stick with me. Um, Another one I would have to say would be Scott, and it was a message when we just practiced being able to be quiet
Mm.
and listen for the voice of God. Because what I appreciated about that was, yes, we have like time where we're learning and we're getting all of this good information, but that was like something practical that could be taken home, like in your lives, like the campers, the staff, anyone that was listening could put this into practice.
Yeah.
Any something that I think changed a lot of people's perspective about hearing from the Holy Spirit. It was just,
Yeah.
it's something that I'll never forget.
That's a great point because a lot of times we get accustomed to hearing from God at camp, and then we almost think
Hmm.
like, man, if I can just hang on another year, I'll hear from God
Yep.
again. And yeah, that message helped bring home that no, the Spirit, same Spirit that
Hmm.
is here, goes with you. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, very cool. Uh, Tamra, I know that you have been so many services you're going to be in and out and sometimes out because of what you're doing. But any speakers or anything like that that kind of uh, come back as far as memories? Because your memories probably go back to a few speakers that no longer are even on the schedule.
Yeah. Again, Scott Crownover. I remember, many messages from him that just got to stick with me. A lot of times I was still in the office
Yeah,
during some of the services and I could just hear bits and pieces of it from down there and things like that. Um, uh, I would say some of the uh, Thursday night services that were led by the staff
yeah,
would be some of the probably the ones that I did get to be a part of and did get to see.
yep,
Um,
sure,
and those were just some really powerful ones that
yeah,
kind of stick with me. The staff that, when they were doing reenactments of different things
yep.
from the stage.
They also did that, and when I remember when they first came up with this, I was like, "This is going to be ridiculous." But they did that Christ clown.
Yeah, that was
Um,
one of the big ones.
Man, alive! I sat in on that, and I was like, "Okay, that's kind of unreal." Um, so yeah, yeah, that's a great thought because at some point, Dad was speaking Tuesday, Thursday for a long time, and then just got to a point where that really wasn't possible for him. And so that's when the staff kind of, hey, you know what? Maybe we can grab a hold of Thursday night and do something unique with it. And they basically have ever since.
And they've done it. They did such a great job. It was just wonderful to be able to watch them grow
Yeah.
and use the things that they had learned and
Yeah.
just see that God work through them with the campers and just the other staff. It was just incredible to watch that.
Yeah. 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 That is awesome. Um, I tread lightly here. But Tamra, and I got to go to you on this one. And I try to give our guests a little bit of pre-warning as to, hey, let's lead the conversation this direction and give them a little heads up. This one, not quite so much the heads up, but there's no doubt when you sat across the table at a Bill Knapp's restaurant, you probably didn't think that you would maybe fall in love with the ministries that you would be a part of. But also, you probably weren't thinking, well, I'll guarantee you she wasn't thinking that at some point she would be working for the guy that was sitting across from her. She would be working for his sons. That was never part of the equation. So that has been an interesting challenge, I'm sure. But in doing that, you have also had to be part of some pretty huge transitions as far as moving from one place to another place even.
Right.
And part of the uniqueness of this position is that what Tamra does, she does for both church and camp. And of course, Dad and his association, they had the offices in the same location. And at some point, of course, Calvary decides, you know what, we're not going to be able to function where we are any longer. It's time to move on. And so we had to make a transition, which meant the offices of Hiawatha Youth Camp had to make a transition. And we wound up doing that for a time in a completely separate office structure. Then, okay, now we're getting our own place. We're coming back to that. In the midst of all that, there winds up being a transition of Hiawatha from the Upper Peninsula to Roscommon in the Lower Peninsula, which changes things as far as the summer is concerned. So just a whole lot of change. How did you cope with that? Why did you stick with it? And was there a constant as far as, and I know we're kind of leaning into the camp ministry, but what was the constant as far as the thread that just kept weaving its way through no matter where the office or even the camp was? That's a loaded question.
I was gonna say, wow. I guess I will just say the constant for me was being able to be a part of something so much bigger than me.
Yeah. Wow.
It's just I have seen the hand of God work in so many different ways. Um, yeah, it's been an incredible journey. The transitions have been like God using sandpaper
Mm.
in so many different ways, and I've learned so much and grown so much through all of it. I'm definitely not the same person,
Mm.
and each and every year I pray for a little bit more grace.
Mm.
And just ask God to forgive me for, sometimes your thoughts just kind of take you into a negative role.
Yeah.
And I never want that to happen. I don't want to let a negative experience be what overtakes any of it, because that's not what God would want. And it's just, we're getting ready to go into another season, and it's in a different place. And I just want to see God's blessing,
Yeah.
because it's always it's always for me been about souls.
Mm.
Who are we going to reach for Jesus? And this summer we have got more campers coming than we have in a long time. Our weeks are almost all completely maxed out. And
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what God is going to do,
Yeah.
not only in the campers, but the staff, because a lot of the staff that we have now, like, my son is, on executive staff, and I think about the times when he was that little wee camper,
Yeah.
that Miss Pam called on the stage when he shouldn't even have been, part
Yeah.
of that kind of thing, just because he was around. But I served on staff at the beginning with a lot of people that now have kids
Mm.
that are on staff as well. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's just so neat to see the growth in these kids that I've watched become, being born and then become campers, and then now they're on staff.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it's incredible to just be able to be a part of that.
Yeah. And I want to come back to something. I'm going to go to your son before I do that, but I just want to give you a heads up because we didn't really talk about this either. But um, you divide time between two ministries, but we've talked that there is something about Hiawatha that pulls the heartstrings of Tamra. And I think that part of the reason for that is because Tamra looks back when she was a teenager
Hmm.
and thinks, if I could have had a Hiawatha, what kind of a difference might that have made?
Right.
So I'll come back to that in just a moment. But Jacob, kind of along the same lines, a little different for you. However, from a fairly early age, you began to look at longevity. You began to look
Mm.
at your life even. I'm not trying to give you more information than Jacob would like, but Jacob is a fairly intelligent young man. Okay. So, high school was not a difficult process for him. Let's just put it that way. And he had multiple choices as to career and what he wanted to do. But from early on, as a teenager, you began to think, you know what? I kind of want to make sure my summers have the potential to include Hiawatha. And
Mhm.
even when we wound up leaving one place that had been your summer home and going to another, those thoughts and plans did not change.
Mm.
So give me a little bit of that story. When did that start? And why is that so important to you? Um,
Mm.
and even at this stage of life, where you are now getting ready to wind up your college career, but nothing really has changed as far as what you're thinking down the road. Yeah. So why and how did that all happen?
Well, I think it kind of ties in with the last question. What has been constant throughout all of it? And I mean, I guess the really obvious, some might call it cheesy answer is God is the constant.
Mhm.
Um, his faithfulness has been evident in this ministry for as long as I can look back, and I've grown up hearing the stories about God's faithfulness for this ministry. I
Yeah.
mean, I hear the stories about how the money was raised to build the miracle building and
Yeah.
how everyone said it was crazy and it was never going to work. And there it was. We had a building that we shouldn't really even have had. We called it the miracle building because God was faithful to help provide for this ministry. And the people that are a part of it are faithful as well. Um, and I think that they steward what God has given them well. And I think that that allows God to bless the ministry in a way that is unseen in a lot of other places.
Hmm.
I mean, just we always talk about how the old grounds was a thin space. I mean, you could just feel the Lord's presence, but that isn't just the grounds. I mean, that comes with,
Hmm.
I mean, the Bible says, where two or more are gathered in his name, there I will be also. And I mean, that's just evident every summer. I mean, the Lord moves in ways that we never see it happening. And who am I to not try and be a part of that as long as I can be?
Yeah.
I mean, the Lord has put it on my heart quite literally to devote my life to this ministry.
Mm.
I mean, I can't see myself doing anything else. I mean, the passion that the Lord has given me for it, I haven't felt for anything else.
Yeah.
And I think that I would be doing the Lord a disservice. I think I would be doing myself a disservice, but also I think that I would be doing everyone that I'm meant to interact with through this ministry a disservice by not following what I believe is my calling.
Mm.
Um, and I look back and I see people like Dan. I don't know if I can say full names on here or not, but I look back at people like that who were there well past when most people serve, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the blessing that they were able to be for other people. And I'm like, I could be that. I could be that vessel that furthers the kingdom through a ministry that has given me so much. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm kind of at a loss for any other way to describe it other than it's there.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else other than camp.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. That's a far better answer than I was anticipating, even Jacob, when I asked the question, even though I know it was going to be a good answer. Um, yeah, that is awesome that God has laid that on your heart and that you are so willing to follow that. Um, and that thin space that you talked about, again, I can tell Scott Crownover is one of your favorites. But yeah, that thin space is not necessarily relegated to a space and a place.
Right.
It can be a part of wherever we are and wherever God's spirit is and whatever work is being accomplished. And
Exactly.
yeah, no, that's awesome. Awesome answer. Um, so Tamara, let me come back to you then and just I mean, I kind of shared the answer in posing the question to you, but I just have a feeling that part of what pulls the heart of Tamara in the direction of Hiawatha is that it's teenagers, it's young people, and you look back on your own story, and while your story is filled with the grace of God, it's also, um, you had a rough few years
I did.
when you were in that same stage and age of a lot of the teenagers that are coming to Hiawatha.
I did. I really I was kind of thinking about what you were saying, and I struggled with during probably the ages of 15 and 23 were probably the worst years of my life.
Hmm.
Um and it again is by the grace of God that I'm even here because I struggled with addiction and just so many different horror stories really that just if there had been a Hiawatha, if there had been
Hmm.
people in my life like all the people I can think of that are in my son's life,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't think I would have traveled the path that I traveled, but yet I'm thankful that I did travel that path because it made me who I am.
Yeah. Well,
And it has given me the heart for kids, and it has given me the heart for um, those less fortunate. It has given me a heart for just he took my mess and he's making it my message.
hmm. Yeah.
So your testimony is just it's just one of those things that, when I see people that are struggling with that, I can go alongside of them and
You could relate.
I can.
Yeah. Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome. Um, all things being equal, space-time continuum not being a problem. You both have, well, actually, you both have decades now. of experience at Hiawatha. Some you can't quite remember, Jacob, but um, if you every once in a while, if you just close your eyes and you could put yourself back in a situation that you wouldn't mind reliving that moment again. What is that? What is that moment? Jacob, I'm going to put you on a spot and start with you.
All right. Um, well, it feels horrible having to pick just one, but
You can
if
give
I
me two
had
or
to
three.
pick,
You can give me two or
if
three.
I
That's
had
fine.
to pick just maybe even just a handful, one of them would be Friday night, Teen Week 3. It's the last hurrah. All the staff, all the campers are just there, and we're just worshiping, and
Yeah.
we're giving it all to God. We're thanking Him for the week that we've had. We know that we're going home tomorrow, and it's just kind of like making those memories. And I mean, that's why it's so vivid. I mean, I can put myself back there, and I mean, that's kind of what camp was about, was getting those kids excited
Yeah.
for a relationship with Jesus. I mean, and the relationships that they built with the staff and everything. I mean, that just pretty much right there packeted it all into one, and all of that joy and excitement. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
unmatched.
Yeah.
But
That is a great,
Tuesday nights,
great memory.
everything like that.
Yeah.
Just
Tuesday nights for sure. Um, yeah,
mm,
I can still see my predecessor standing up there on the edge of the stage. Invitation's been given, and he
mm,
just remains there and watches as all these young people are dealt with.
mm.
So, and yeah, that worship, and it's funny that you mentioned third week Friday night, and it's like there was just something about it's like we know we're not going to do this song again, and I can't quite think of the song, but it there was a song that became just kind of a Friday. Well, it was more of a morning song, but they wound up doing it for worship at night, especially on that last Friday night, and man, everybody was just jumping around and yeah, I can see that. I cannot put my cannot put my mind to the title of that song, but
I
that's
think
gonna
you're
bug
thinking of
me.
Wake, if it
That
was
is it.
years ago. Yep. There we
That's the
go.
song. That's the song. That is it. Yeah,
Telling you those memories.
yeah, yeah. I've tried to, hey, why don't we do that at church? And Kaylee's never been inclined to try to replicate the last Friday night at camp.
Oh
So
boy.
understandable. But Tamra, let me pose that same question to you. I mean, and I know you have far more memories than just one or two, but if you could go back and enjoy just a few moments, what would it be?
I was gonna say it has to be a couple because, like, the first thing that would come to my mind is just being in the kitchen
Mm,
with Hoppy and Billy Senior.
mm,
I mean that those are just some of the best memories, best conversations, best,
yeah,
if anything, that just could make me cry and feel great all at the same time.
yeah,
Uh, and then the other thing that comes to my mind is Tina Shannon was one of the people that did one of these podcasts, and
yeah,
she had talked about the back half of the auditorium
yeah,
and just so many friendships and so much community and just thinking about the people and just being able to like be going around the lake for a walk with some of those
sure,
people. I mean,
yeah,
some of the best conversations that I've ever had were walking around that lake.
yeah,
Um, and just the family and the friends that I have just gained from Hiawatha. And
yeah,
it's made me who I am. So
yeah, 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 yeah. Amen to all that. Yeah, that is good. Well, it is hard to believe, but we have actually taken about 40 minutes to go through some of these memories and highlights. And and talk about a little bit of the future as well. And let me just ask, by the time this airs, there's a pretty good chance the summer to come will already be in the history books. Um, but we are just now, in fact, Tamara, you're days away from heading up there again. Uh, what what's something that, and Jacob, I'll start with you. What are you looking forward to? What are you praying for this summer, for God to do?
I am looking forward to him doing it all again,
Hmm.
but doing it in new ways that
Yeah,
we're not going to see coming, and him doing it even bigger than we could anticipate.
yeah,
I mean, just in these past couple of years, with being kind of in a new space, we kind of almost have had like our tail in between our legs when it comes to like our expectations. And we haven't really like,
hmm,
I'm not saying there was a lack of faith that God would move, but I just think that we kind of allowed our circumstance to overshadow how big our God is.
hmm,
Um, and I think, I mean, like we said, our numbers are huge this year, and we weren't even expecting that. So I can't imagine what we're going to see this year.
yeah,
I think it's going to be unlike anything we've seen in a long time, if ever. And
yeah,
I am anticipating it, and I am so excited for it.
yeah. Amen. Tamra.
Well, you let him go first, so he
Yeah,
kind
I
of
know.
takes the answer. But yeah, just being able to be part of something again, something that's so much bigger than us. And
Yeah,
I have just this something you said in the message yesterday, and I can't really even put my finger or my mind on it, but it just made me think that the best is yet to come.
mm,
And that if we just keep our minds on him
yeah.
and just don't let any of the other stuff just kind of let it bounce off, I
Yeah.
think that,
Stay away from distractions.
we're gonna see him come through in such big and mighty ways. And I think it's just he's just gonna I think we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah. 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 Oh man, I agree. And I think we could probably sit here for another 45 minutes, and just keep talking and share what has been and what the hopes are for what will be. But this has been a joy, and I have appreciated, Jacob, you taking some time out of your schedule, and Tamra, well, we just kind of pulled her out of the office and said, come on down to the studio. And so I really appreciate you guys, though, taking a slice of time and sharing with us just a bit of your perspective as far as Hiawatha and what God has been doing. And it's just awesome that He has allowed the two of you to be a part of it. And like I said, Tamara is. She is an intricate part of so much of what happens and has happened at Hiawatha. There is hardly a part of Hiawatha that she has not had to be a part of, deal with, work at. And so it's awesome to see that even after all these years, you're still excited about what God is going to do this summer. And
Amen.
so we are too, and we will be praying with you to that end. You keep praying for the ministry of Hiawatha Youth Camp and the Billy Walker Evangelistic Association as well. We appreciate you listening. And if you're not yet, hit subscribe, because then you will be notified each and every time we drop one of these podcasts. And listen in to the stories of what God has done, but in such a cool way, also what He is doing and what we believe He's going to continue to do through the ministry of Hiawatha Youth Camp. And thank you so much for being a part of today's podcast. Make it a great day. God bless.